Hello everybody, we are back in One Piece TCG Simulator. I am running the blue Doflamingo deck. I am running the list that Adrian from Pang Pirates posted the other day. I believe that's his name. I'm sorry, it's very early and I'm trying to get this video done for you guys. Anyways, yeah, so I'm playing the blue Doflamingo deck, and this is going to be a comprehensive guide of how to not play the deck. So we got two matches to go over here. This first one is against a Edward Newgate deck, and all in all the matches were really fun, but there are quite a few places that I misplay. Obviously we go for the Perona off the top. That's what you want to see to start off, so you can kind of start stacking to get to things. I don't know if I was just getting really bad RNG or what it was with the deck. Maybe this was my first time playing it, so a lot of decision making was trying to just understand the optimal plays, and yeah, I just didn't do a very good job of it. So we pass off to him, or to them, sorry. They go with the Nami. It's your typical off-the-rip play for the Straw Hat Whitebeard variant, which is what you see a lot of people running in the meta these days. And the Newgate deck is a very interesting deck because of the way the leader works, and it always throws me off when playing Newgate, even though I've played against it a million times. I always forget he's a 6K leader. It throws me off. He's a monocolor 6K leader. And I don't think there's any other leaders that are 6K off the top of my head. I may be wrong. Like I said, it's early, so my brain's not exactly functioning at full capacity here. So here's second turn. We have 3 Dawn. At this point in the night, I had played quite a bit, and I think I couldn't remember what I had stacked, so I just kind of wanted to try to go a little aggressive, obviously, in order to get over the leader or get resources out of their hand. You have to go up to 7K, so unless you're playing a Newgate mirror, you're always going to have to be able to stack up to that 7K. I mean, you can go for a 6K to 6K and try to force out, resources from their hand. But at this point, I didn't have any not counters, but event cards or anything. So there was really nothing for me to utilize with the Dawn anyways. So I figured the aggressive go forth play would be the way to go. He drops this 4-drop 6K Luffy, which I'd never seen played before. But, I mean, 6K for 4-drop on third turn, not horrible. So I was debating here whether or not to let the Law take the hit, but it does get us to the Mihawk out of our life, and it's not a bad thing to go ahead and have the Mihawk in the hand. Though my issue with this deck was knowing when to play the Mihawk. There's other footage. If I put out the compilation video, I think I need to get some more footage for that before I feel comfortable putting that video out. But a lot of times, whenever I'm playing a red deck, I would have this issue of playing Mihawk because for some reason in my head, I would think his effect would put the card back in the hand. So when you're playing a red deck and they have Namis and Curly Dondons, and putting them back in the hand really does nothing but grant them advantage because they get the on-play ability again for 1 or 2 cost, which isn't much resource to put in, especially not for the effect that they get off. It's like, do I really want to do that? So, and here I misplay. I add the Dawn to the Boa because the Boa is 5 cards or less. So I believe. See, this is what I mean, is I'm getting even mixed up. Yeah, if there are 5 or less cards in your hand. So I do get to draw off the Boa here. I'm getting games mixed up in my head. I know there's at one point, either this game or the next game, where I attached the Dawn to Boa, and it kept me from being able to play an event card because I thought I was going to get the draw off the block, but I had 6 cards in hand, so the effect ultimately was for nothing. So I think I go with the Law block here because I want to try to save some life. I'm trying to stall out as much as possible before the 9-drop new gate hits the field and my opponent quits having to put life from a card from their life into their hand. And the Makino just is kind of a problem. I don't like it whenever it hits the board. It's a problem. You have to get rid of it or else something's getting buffed for 3k every turn on their turn. Here we have 7 Dawn, and I think I'm just trying to figure out the best way to go about it. And if I remember correctly, I'm going to go into the blocker Luffy so I can get the effect off as well to stack the deck. But Doflamingo is such an awkward deck sometimes. So I used the Brick Fist to send the Luffy back to the hand, and my thought process there was it's 4 Dawn. In order to commit to that card, that's 4 Dawn out of your resources. Even at they're going to be at 8 Dawn, that's half of your resources gone just to get that 6k no effect Luffy on the field. So we go for the Doflamingo to get the stack off. Because we're lacking counters, the 2k counters in the hand. And if I remember correctly, this is a big misplay on my part right here. Because my thought process... No, okay. Again, getting plays and games mixed up. And I forget that I don't have the full 3 Dawn needed to pull off the effect of my leader. So at that point it was like, okay, Perona can actually put in some work to maybe get this Makino off the board. And I believe they're going to counter and keep... No, okay, so we get the Makino, however you enunciate it, off the board. And then just go ahead and try to clear the board as much as possible. The King Doo's on the board, but there's no effect with the King Doo. It's just a big body. And obviously we couldn't really do anything about it to begin with. So, and in my opinion, my thought process was King Doo, even if he goes in with him, I can, mitigate and then go after it next turn. And then the double King Doo comes down. So, kind of an issue. 2 big 7k bodies on the board. One of them can go in this turn. And I mean, at least I have a blocker. That's probably the only good thing about this situation. And I do have 3 more blockers in my hand. The Kuma, I guess my issue with Kuma is I always want to wait to commit till I have the Pacifista in hand, but you don't always see the Pacifista. So I think a big problem I had was not utilizing stacks properly the way that the Doflamingo deck kind of is supposed to. And that really hindered me from being able to play properly. So here I'm trying to debate whether or not to use the blocker or if I can ditch anything out of my hand that makes it worthwhile, because at this point Teach really doesn't do anything for me aside from being a body on board. The on-play effect's not going to happen, but I do end up blocking because either way it's a 7k into a 7k. But at least if my opponent stacks Dawn onto a King Doo, I have more counters available than I would have if I had countered there for the new gate. Though again, like I said at the beginning of this video, this is kind of a guide on how to not play this deck. So a lot of my card choices and play choices are not optimal. They're not what I would recommend. And here we go with an 8K Kingdu. And I think I'm just going to take the hit here because I really don't want to absolve all of my resources. And we do get the Love Mellow, which will come in handy. So we draw into the Gecko Moria. Interesting choice in my opinion, but it does come in clutch a lot of times. I mean, it's a 4-drop 6K. It's no different than the Luffy that the Newgate player's playing. It just puts a really big body on board for when you need it. We're sitting here with 9 Dawn, and this is kind of where I guess my issues come in, because it's like, okay, Teach does nothing. I can put 2 blockers on the board, or I can set up the Mihawk to be able to go in big next turn and get rid of 1 Kingdu. Or I can use this card action and get a body on board kind of for free, though the Mihawk, I think I couldn't remember what was on the top of the deck. I just knew it was a 7 Warlords character, but the Mihawk is definitely something I would rather see in my hand. I think obviously it would make Doflamingo a little bit more OP if you could have the choice of playing it rested or adding to hand, but I think that would be really cool just because of situations like that where, okay, Mihawk, do you want to add it to your hand or play it rested on the field to where your opponent's just probably going to run through it next turn anyways? I would much rather put it in my hand for the 2K counter, but it is what it is. So I'm debating here if I want to go for the Boa or not. And this may be the play I was talking about earlier, where I have like 6 cards in hand, 7 cards actually, and I attached the Dawn to the Boa thinking I'll get to draw a card because I'm trying to get to things. But as soon as I attached that Dawn, I was like, oh crap, I'm not going to get this effect off, and I just wasted a Dawn, so I can't use the Love Mellow and utilize that 4K power boost for a block. So at that point, I'm pretty sure I had accepted with the big bodies that were on the board. They're at 10 Dawn. There's not much I can do to get out of this. And then the 9K Newgate comes down, pretty much solidifying that there's absolutely nothing I can do at this point, because I just didn't take the time to really think out my plays. So I think it's very important to really double check everything, especially if you're playing IRL, because you don't have all the prompts popping up. You have to remember everything word for word, card for card, review what's going on, and that's why playtesting is very important, which is kind of the point of a lot of these videos. I don't get to play in real life. I don't have anybody to play with. My local game store, no one's playing One Piece. There's hardly any stores around me that carry the product, so that's why the simulator is amazing. It gives me a place to be able to play and learn and kind of hone in on my skills. Of course, with the way I've been playing lately and just kind of churning through decks to kind of get a feel for them, I'm obviously not optimizing my ability to play the deck at the best that it can be. So I will definitely be spending more time on individual decks, but you know, that's just, it is what it is. With the channel slowly pivoting more towards One Piece content, obviously there will be videos with repeat decks, but I think that will be fine. You guys let me know down below if you're okay with me using the same deck. You know, obviously not like video after video after video, but if you're okay with seeing kind of my progression with different decks. So far we've tested Smoker, we've tested Ivankov, we've tested Garp, and we've tested Zephyr. So we've tested a few different decks, and obviously each leader has different builds that can be done. I'm doing a lot of net decking right now just because even though I've been playing for a little bit, I'm still a fresh fish. So here we're getting a search off, and this Doflamingo, I always would forget that on play you got to look at the top 3 cards, and that it was during an attack that you get to return 1. And honestly, like, maybe when I get better with the deck, I can see more utility with it, but the 2 copies of that Doflamingo, it never really helped me too much. I think there was one game it kind of came in clutch, but here we just get another blocker on the board. I think I'm trying to keep at least 2 Dawn alive for the Love Mellow, even though I know that I am probably not making it through this next turn. Though we do have the Alvita, which is a 2k counter, the Gecko Moria is a 1k, and then we do have 2 more Teach as well that are both 1ks respectively. And at that point, I mean, I could have done the Dawn onto the Doflamingo and gone in 6k to 6k to kind of relieve resources out of their hand, but again, this is how to not play the deck. So it's on their turn. I don't know what just happened there. And I'm just kind of waiting to see what they're going to do. And the ace comes down. That's right. The ace comes down, and I mean, that's pretty much the nail in the casket there. You got the Newgate effect, I believe, is what got rid of the Doffy there. I'm at 2k. There's no target in hand, which is why I don't like playing the Bartholomew without the Pacifista in hand. But like, I never saw Pacifista in all the games I played. I think I saw Pacifista like twice, and that's what's kind of sucks about One Piece, is the lack of draw power. Even with a deck like Doflamingo, sometimes it is hard to get to what you're looking for. And maybe that's an ignorant statement, because I mean, Doflamingo is literally one of the few decks that lets you manipulate your deck and what you're getting to when you're getting to it. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement there. But I think we're just going to try to stall out as much as possible. And I'm trying my hardest to avoid using the Love Mellow without being able to utilize its effect to draw. The Pacifista came from the life. That confused me during the game as well. So we got the Pacifista from our life because we took the hit. And now I'm in a position where it doesn't matter what happens, because even using the Love Mellow here doesn't get me a card because we took a hit. So I should have used it I should have used it on the first attack, so I could have gotten the draw off of it and then been able to take another attack and just lost the life, and I would have been in a better position to at least get another turn in, get the Mihawk on the board, get rid of the ace. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all she wrote. So we'll jump into the second game here in just a second. So we're in the second game here. We are playing against a red-green law deck. Things move pretty fast here at the beginning. They go in with the Nami and get the Zoro right off the bat. So I know they're going to be playing aggressive. We're going to go Perona. Go ahead and stack. We don't want the Perona off the top. We want to put that down towards the bottom, so once we finally draw it, we can play it and then stack again, even though we do have the Doffy in hand to also allow us for some stacking. I'm just debating on how to go about these stacks, and I believe this is one of the biggest misplays, because my thought process was I'll draw Law, have a 1-drop blocker, and then I'll use the Doflamingo effect to get the Alvida. But I forgot that Alvida is a Buggy Pirates character, not a 7 Warlords character. So I really regret the way that I stack things here, because as you will see, I have just enough Dawn to get the blocker law onto the board and then activate Doflamingo's on attack effect, and everything goes wrong. I even look at the Alvida right there and don't look at the character type, because for some reason I was just like, oh no, yeah, I'll get Alvida off the top, because I'm thinking about getting the 2k counter to hand, and I'm not thinking about the character type at all. So I'm debating on whether or not I drop the blocker first, then go for the effect, or if I want to go ahead and commit to one of these 4-drops. So I do commit to the Gecko Moria first. So maybe the misplay I'm talking about happened in another game, and that's why I looked at the Alvida to remind myself that it was a Buggy Pirates character. I'm sorry, that was a bit of a tangent, but yes, that is a thing that happened, and it very much so was frustrating for me, because it was just like all I had to do was look at the character type. So we take 1 off the life. We're at 3 and 3 life. The Curly Don comes down, and the Tony Chopper blocker is added to hand. So Law is a very interesting leader just because of the kind of cycling effect that it has, just like the Law character, where you can take 1 back to the hand and pop 1 onto the field. It's very annoying. It's very annoying to play against. And there we go. That's exactly what I was talking about. So I had never seen anybody play this Zoro before. So whenever I saw Zoro to hand, I thought it was the Rush Zoro. And whenever I saw Zoro hit the field, I thought it was Rush Zoro. But I was very surprised to see that it was not. So I think I'm debating on using Teach here to get rid of the Zoro. Because obviously, again, this is a situation where I don't want to return the Don. I don't want to return either of the Namis, because then they'll just play them again and get the on-play effects. And I know it's Law, so they're probably going to get those anyways. But attach the Dawn to the Gecko Moria, so even if they block, they still have to use resources. And then they take 2. And, you know, it's looking good right here. I feel like I had a solid lead. But then the Makino comes down. And I have to make the decision here on whether or not this big body is worth keeping. And I think it is. Instead of playing 4 cost next turn to bring out a Gecko Moria, I have to wait a turn 4. I'll keep a Gecko Moria on board. And so now we're facing 2 6k blocker Laws, a 3-drop Zoro from the starter deck, and then they're going to go in with the Don for 5k on my leader. I'm just going to go ahead and take it, and I think that's a great pickup. I don't want to lose this Gecko Moria, but honestly, I probably should have held the 2k counters. My thought process here is this 4-drop Gecko Moria can get me back one of my 7 Warlord characters from the trash if I play it, and it's a body on field. So I'm just debating whether or not it's going to be worth playing that Gecko Moria next turn, or keeping the one that's on the field currently. And I choose to keep the one on the field currently, so I don't have to use 4 resources for that. And I believe here I'm still going to play the Gecko Moria. I'm either going to play the Gecko Moria or... Wait, so we're going to attack first into the blocker Law. That way, even if they block with the other Law, unless they do that. So, trying to, you know, clear the field of these blockers. And that was just... This is a situation where I forgot how I'd stacked. And... hitting that love mellow, that was rough, because that was just a waste of a resource. So teach it to the Don to kind of clear the field a little bit. And then from there, we have 4. Go ahead and get a blocker on field. I don't know what I was thinking about with the Perona. The Perona is literally not going to do anything unless I stack it with things. I kept the Dawn available for the Love Mellow. The Vista came down and took care of the Teach, which sucked. Or no, took care of my blocker. Sorry. And then now my opponent is just trying to go in where they can to close out the game. Luckily, I do still have some counters in hand, and at this point I realized that the 2K counter wasn't enough, so I really don't want to lose this life. My thought process was that there's no way they're going to use the laws to attack, but whenever you can close out the game, I guess you're going to do whatever you can. I used the Love Mellow because I knew I was going into another Love Mellow, but I am 1 resource short because I used the Doflamingo effect to be able to use the Love Mellow. And now we have to make the decision, do we just take the loss? We take the loss. So those were the games there. I believe there are obviously some more games here, but those will be for another time. As you can see, there's a lot of mistakes that I made and a lot of optimization to be had for me to play this deck properly, but it is a very fun deck. Again, shout out to Adrian at Pang Pirates. I will have their information down below. Go check them out, subscribe to them. They just hit 1K not too long ago. Very informative channel, very fun channel. And I believe if you go around the time this video drops, he should still have a giveaway running, so go check out the deck profile for this. I'll attach that video as well down in the description, and he does go in depth on how to play it. I probably should have paid attention better, and maybe I wouldn't have done so bad with these games, but I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed seeing the perspective of how to not play the deck, and I hope that it helps you to be able to play this deck better if you do choose to play an OP-02 Doflamingo build. And until next time, I will see you later. Peace.